the one and only Marcus Allen, and their distinguished guest. And then there's Marcus Allen, who remains the
That's right.
only Heisman winner, national champion winner, Super Bowl winner, Super Bowl MVP winner, and NFL MVP. The only person to check all those boxes, not to mention Rookie of the Year in 1982 and a 2003 inductee into the Pro Football Hall of Fame. So there are resumes, and then there's this man's resume. Nobody else matches it. Marcus, it's good to see you, and would love to hone in on one of your many honors, and that is NFL MVP. 1985, I believe the year was.
Yes.
We have discussed quite a bit on this show, and I'm sure you've heard it, conversations about what's wrong with MVP voting. And not just because some voters make it personal, shocker, but how it's become a quarterback award, almost exclusively. Rare is the running back like yourself that's able to break through and win MVP. How, if at all, would you change the MVP process in the NFL?
Well, Mike, I kind of understand where the game has sort of evolved now with all the throwing. It is the running backs aren't getting as many carries, with the exception of, Derrick Henry, who's been outstanding. Unfortunately, got hurt this year, but obviously, the last couple of years I think should have been in the mix. It's kind of hard to argue with the vote. I guess the guys who, select the MVP because, it's a throwing league now, and obviously quarterbacks and wide receivers are more apt to win those awards or that kind of award than anybody else at this point.
You talk about the throwing league.
Because I'm a running back guy, so I love running backs. Get touches and whether it's running the ball or receiving the ball and stuff. But it is kind of it makes it difficult today because of the game and the evolution of the game and the amount of throwing. Remember, I came in the league, Mike. Before I came in the league, they threw it an average of 15 times a game, so they ran the ball a lot. And when I got there, it was around 25, maybe 30 max. Now they throw it almost 50 times a game. So, the likelihood of the quarterback winning the award is pretty high.
And I was going to ask you about that, just the way you've approached it. And Mike gave your resume and all those impressive numbers. So if you were starting now, would you still say, I'm a running back and I'll evolve to the way the game is being played right now? Or would you say, wait a minute, the way they're devaluing running backs, maybe I'd pursue a different position? How would you approach it if you are, 18, 19 years old and thinking about a career in professional football?
Well, I think if you're a versatile back, like myself, maybe Marshall Faulk or somebody like that, we still played our game today because we were, they didn't take us out on third down. We played. Obviously, sometimes we were featured running, option routes. You didn't have to take us out the game. So it depends on your skill set. We were lucky enough to be, multifaceted players and that never had to leave the field. So if you're a player that can do everything, you can still play and play very well and do well in this game and this era today.
It's so funny, Marcus, when you watch some of these. Sorry, Mike, just real quick.
No, go ahead. Yeah.
I was going to say, it's funny when you look at these guys who are throwing, as you said, sometimes 40, 45 times a game, and it's fun to watch and all the fans enjoy it. But sometimes you get to the red zone, you get to the 5, and you see these teams like they're in the shotgun. Why are you in the shotgun? They go spread
from the 1.
From the 1, and can't get it in. What was your approach?
Why they can't jump over the top like you?
Yeah, you're one of the best goal line backs in history. What was your approach? Was it a mentality or was it a technical skill that you had and said, look, I know what's going to happen here. I know the linebacker's going to jump. What was your approach when you got down there near the 1 yard line?
Well, first of all, when I played, there was only 2 defenses, right? There's a 6-2 and a 5-3, right? So knowing what you're faced with, in addition to knowing what everybody's doing on, your side of the ball at the line of scrimmage, certainly helps, right? Now, I'm just completely, bewildered of why. They get down near the goal line and they're in this spread offense and they're always outnumbered. There's always one unblocked man because they don't have a fullback, guys. and they continue to run plays into a disadvantage. And it's obvious for everybody to see, but except for the coaching staff. I mean, I just don't get it. I mean, in this day and age, you can and should have at least a short yardage package where there is either a fullback or an extra lineman you can bring at a fullback position, or a tight end that could possibly play that position. But they still run spreads, and they're outmanned. And it bewilders me. I don't understand it.
So we know we are not confused about your allegiance with the remaining playoff teams. We know who you're pulling for. We know you're you're pulling for the Chiefs in these playoffs. So we don't have to talk about the state of the Chiefs. They're in pretty good shape. Before we get you out of here, we'd be remiss if we didn't talk about the state of the Raiders, and for that matter, your USC Trojans. Starting with the Raiders, just dismissed their general manager. Rich Bisaccia has got the vote of the players, but he seems to be in limbo, if not on the way out. What would you like to see Mark Davis do with that organization in terms of bringing in new leadership, especially after not only the Gruden fiasco, but the way they finished the season to make the playoffs?
Well, I mean, I still think that they are a young team. I think they're still on the rise. And of course, you have to build the team through the draft, and you can't afford to miss. You really can't. I mean, if your first round draft choice, from the first year you selected team doesn't really pan out, I mean, that is supposed to be the nucleus of your team. So you need to make great selections, and you need to make mid picks that will obviously complement the players that you are really dependent on. And so you can't really, as far as the general managers are concerned, I mean, you really have to know football. You really have to know players. You really have to understand, how to identify great players when others don't. I mean, so it's a skill, and then bringing all those pieces together and making them work and stuff. I still think, as Al would say, I think the future, is still really bright with the Raiders, and I still think they have some valuable pieces, but they need a few more to make that team the team that I think can go to the Super Bowl.
Let's talk about the Super Bowl of college football. We go back and forth. And I grew up in the Midwest, Marcus, so I'm partial to the Big Ten. But goodness, the SEC just keeps locking it down, these national championship games. This year it was Georgia. Last year it was Alabama. What will it take for USC to kind of break up that party and return the Trojans to glory?
Hey, guys, this is a very simple formula. It's a very simple formula, guys, right? Every other, team in every, conference in the country is playing fast-paced football. The one thing that travels, guys, is physicality. And if you don't understand that, no one will win except for the SEC. They are physical, all right? And no matter, how many wrinkles they throw in a game, the essence and the nucleus of the team is physicality. And when other teams don't understand that and they want to be finesse and fast break, they have no shot. So we're always going to be watching the SEC and championship games. And I had a conversation with, Coach Lincoln Riley, and that's one of the things that I mentioned to him. I said, physicality travels. When we played at USC, that was our one mandate, that we were going to be the most physical team in the country. And we have to get back to that. Otherwise, you have no shot. You can play fast break football all you want, but when you play a physical team, they're going to dominate you. And the SEC.
Hey, Michael, you peep how Marcus's voice got physical? We were talking about the Raiders and the Chiefs, and you were mad cool. You started talking about USC. You were like, you know what? You're a Trojan through and through.
Let's go.
Hey,
Always a Trojan. Fight on.
Ready?
Physicality travels, man. It'll go to every conference, dude. And that's what
happens.
Physically stand up to your
opponent.
You're ready to
play in the Rose Bowl right now. You're ready to play in the Rose Bowl right now.
Hey, guys, this is what I always say about the running game, right? A guy you can throw the ball, and a DB can be like, have tight coverage, and the receiver can still catch the ball. And you can say, hey, coach, you know what? I made a mistake. I didn't locate the ball. I put the wrong arm up. You can make excuses. But when the guy's kicking your butt at the line of scrimmage, that's ownership, dude. That's ownership.
Hey, thanks for watching Brother from Another on YouTube. Make sure you hit subscribe before you leave, and be sure to watch us
3 to 5 p.m. Eastern Time on Peacock. Appreciate you.